Hey, hey, hello. Good evening. It is a wonderful day, a wonderful night. Mostly cloudless, very good temperature in the bunker of undisclosed location where I dwell. It's it's showing 0 concurrent viewers and a 0 chat rate when that is clearly not true. But here we are. Everybody in chat, give a holler, make yourselves known. This is the proper, the true, the hopefully not beleaguered by technical difficulties Passover special for Jewman. I have here my enormous, gorgeous, wonderful Magerman edition, translation and commentary by Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, Koren Shalem Chomash, that we will be reading from today. It will be a good deal of Exodus, the bulk of Exodus, or it's like I think it's about half of Exodus, and I have also a series of JPEGs from Prince of Egypt, some of which are very, very funny to me, that I'll put up in the meantime. And we will get going pretty soon here. I'm gonna wait around for just a moment for a couple more people to file in before we get started. I'm also curious how people want me to do this, because on the one hand, I was thinking I could just read the verses, because in these big hefty chumashes, oftentimes you have very few verses and a lot of commentary. So there will be like 2 sentences of scripture on a page and like 6 paragraphs of commentary. It's a lot. So what I was thinking is that I go through and I will read the scripture content. I will read the Torah, and we can come back to the commentary on any verses people might be interested in. Of course, that does mean that I absolutely need some active, engaged chatters. It is a necessity. It is essential. So, if the wonderful people who occupy my chat, mods and plebeians alike, could speak up, that would be wonderful. In the meantime, as I'm waiting around for just a moment, I have some matzah. It is unfortunately gluten-free, as if matzah needed to be any less appealing. Let me mukbang you a bit here. But it is nicely salted, and matzah is pretty good with salt. So, we're back. It's not over. Hello, hello. The people are coming. They're crossing the Sea of Reeds right into my arms. I'll get to that. The Sea of Reeds is an interesting anecdote. Specifically, the King James Bible translates it as the Red Sea. I think it does. Maybe there's a rare King James W, and it doesn't. But it's the Red Sea. You hear that it's Moses crossing the Red Sea. But in the original literature, it's the Sea of Reeds, which is actually the name of a phase of the Egyptian afterlife. So it carries some extra rhetorical weight, and you could interpret it a variety of other ways as well. But geographically, it is also supposed to be crossing the Red Sea. So one way or another, they end up doing that. But anyway, I'm going to put a pinned comment here in the chat real quick, just so people know what's up. Oh, am I very quiet? Terrible. All right, is this better? Check, check. Is my volume better? How are we? I did warn the public, the viewing public, that the mic quality would be a little worse this time around. The internet also is a little terrible, but we will persist. We will survive. Certainly, I don't think interruptions on the level of yesterday may come through. Okay, good to hear. Good to hear. Mukbang you with matzah a bit more. All right. Well, who thinks we should get started here? Asking that question is also partially me testing my chat delay. Oh, that's glorious. Okay, my chat delay does seem very bad. It does seem real bad. Or one of my mods has terrible internet. Wags finger. Tisk tisk. Okay. Oh, just a minute? Good to know. That's fine. Okay, I've been asked to begin. And I shall. Like I said, if you would like me to stop and go over some commentaries, please let me know. Even in this very, very good translation by late Chief Rabbi of England, Lord Jonathan Sacks. No, one moment. Okay. Even with our lovely translation, this is still a big and esoteric book with a lot that doesn't make sense, and you can be sure if it even makes the slightest amount of, or if it even has the slightest amount of uncertainty, Rabbi Sacks has some notes on it. So if you would like me to expound upon anything, please let me know. But that is the bulk of tonight's content. Actually, we want to get like some music in here. People have some recommendations. Something like non-copyrighted in the background. Put on the Age of Empires soundtrack. That'd be hype. And just to get ahead of my viewers, ultra kill is not an option in this particular case. You may not say ultra kill. We are not playing Heaven Pierce Her over the Torah. All right. Let me turn a window capture. Oh, I don't want that showing on the screen. So I'm just gonna all right. How's that? How's the Age of Empires beats? They too loud? Well, if they're too loud, I'm sure somebody will let me know. I've dragged my feet long enough. I have to get started. Parshat Shemot, the first chapter of the book of Exodus. Why am I gonna... How many times are you gonna say darn and aw man? Until I play Heaven Pierce Her is my assumption. Alright, I'll make you a deal. I'll play Claire de Lune by Heaven Pierce Her when we get to the plagues. I'll play Heaven Pierce Her when we get to the plagues. If you're very lucky, if you engage very well, I may even play An Eye for an Eye from the Cyber Grind. The like the furry, the pony, the brony song. But only if you're very diligent. All right. Chapter 1 of Exodus. We begin with the names of people, generally. We begin with a list of names. The Torah is a great fan of a list of names. Of course, it's now we perceive it as a religious document, but it is as much just a historical record of a people. And so it provides you these very long lists of names to demonstrate these genealogies and the origins of the people and everything that would be useful for in practical terms in the time it was compiled. So, like, that would be more or less... It was after Babylonian captivity, which would put it at, like... I'm struggling to remember my dates for the classical Mediterranean. Well. Verse 1. And these are the names of the sons of Israel who came to Egypt with Yaakov, each with his household. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda, Yisachar, Zevulun, and Binyamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. Is that an ad? Did that ad have like the super skyscraper from the one they used in like the Judge Dredd movie, like Dredd 2012, that had gangs on like different floors? Anyway. Gad and Asher, the descendants of Yaakov, were 70 in all, and Yosef was already in Egypt. Then Yosef died, and all his brothers, and all that generation. But the Israelites were fruitful and burgeoned. They multiplied and became exceptionally strong until the land was filled with them. Sorry to delay again, but I'm going to open the window. Okay. They multiplied and became exceptionally strong until the land was filled with them, filled with the Hebrews. Egypt is to the brim, stuffed. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. That's the real narrative. Then a new king arose over Egypt who had not known Joseph, and he said to his people, "You see that the Israelite people are many and more powerful than we. Come, let us deal wisely with them in case they increase. And if we war..." Sorry, like I said, there are like 3 verses a page because there's so much commentary. Again, stop me if there's commentary you wanna see. Given the delay, you may want to just like say what content you want it. I mean, you could follow along and that'd be awesome. But you may want to just say, I want the commentary on the Egyptians enslaving the Israelites or something. Anyway, breaks out. So when war breaks out, they may join our enemies and fight against us and escape from the land. So they placed slave masters over the Israelites to oppress them with forced labor. They built supply cities for Pharaoh, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they were oppressed, the more they increased and spread. The Egyptians came to dread the Israelites. The Egyptians imposed back-breaking labor on the Israelites, embittering their lives with harsh work in mortar and brick and all field labors. All the work they forced upon them was intended to break them. Then the king of Egypt said to the midwives of the Hebrews, one named Shifra, the other Puah, when you help a Hebrew woman give birth, look on the birth stool. If it is a boy, kill him, and if it is a girl, let her live. But the midwives feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt ordered them. We love the midwives here. We love Shifra and Puah. They're peak and good. And they get away with it, as we will see starting here in verse 18. They let the babies live. Then the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and demanded, Why have you done this? Why have you let the children live? Why have you done this? Why have you done it? Why would Iran do this? But Hebrew women, the midwives replied, are not like Egyptians. They are full of vigor and have already given birth by the time the midwife arrives. There you go. You get your first wild biblical statement so far. Midwife win. The Hebrews though, the Hebrew women are just so goated they don't need midwives. Baby comes right out. Per verse 19. True. Peak wives. All right. God was good to the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very strong. And because the midwives feared God, he granted them households. Then Pharaoh commanded his entire people, saying, Throw every boy that is born into the Nile, and let the girls live. I was going to say something about that. Yes. This is an interesting and very vague divine intervention here. God gave them households. It's not totally clear how, or how he how he had them escape the wrath of the Egyptians. It's not totally clear. Certainly, we do not get more explanation. In fact, I may override and see if there's a good commentary here. Yes, there is 121. He granted them households. This is now. Oh, that's all right. Analytical reasons are good and valid. The story of Shifra, this is now Rabbi Sachs' commentary. The story of Shifra and Puah is not a tragedy. It ends with a curious phrase. God granted them households. What does this mean? Lutzato, see above, midwives to the Hebrews, offers an insightful interpretation. Sometimes women become midwives when they are unable to have children of their own. That, he suggests, was the case with... Oh, this uses that very, very thin paper you see with like Bible prints. It's still thicker than like any King James Bible you will ever see, because the ratio of commentary to content is so tilted. Midwife, why would you say that about her? Oh. It's a bit difficult finding the English text is interestingly laid out. I'm having trouble breaking it down fully. This is a pain. The difficulty with the Hebrew texts, or with the English text, is that the book is laid out for Hebrew. It's laid out right to left, but the English is of course left to right, and so how it's laid out is a bit puzzling. And I was getting by just fine with it yesterday, but it's giving me grief now. Well, anyway. Story of Shifra and Puah is not a tragedy. Identifying unknown characters with characters who are more elaborated. However, in describing them, the Torah uses an ambiguous phrase. It calls them, Hamaliadot Halviachot, which could mean either the Hebrew midwives or the midwives to the Hebrews. On the second interpretation, they may not have been Hebrews at all, but Egyptians. This is the view taken, among others, by the scholar and statesman Abravanel and the Italian commentator Shmuel David Luzzato. Luzzato's reasoning is simple. Could Pharaoh... Oh, that's all right. Could Pharaoh realistically have expected Hebrew women to murder their own people's children, rather than decide one way or the other? It seems clear that the Torah's ambiguity on this point is deliberate. We do not know who they are, or for which people, or which people they belong to, because their particular form of moral courage transcends nationality and race. In essence, they are being asked to commit a crime against humanity, and the fact that they refuse to do so tells us something about the ethical parameters of humanity as such. Though Shifra and Puah are seemingly minor figures in the narrative, they are giants in the story of humanity. All we know about them is that they feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt ordered them. In those words, a precedent is set that will eventually become the basis of, it talks about the United Nations. Sachs does do this. He like inflates the story real hard. He's like, and this was this basis of all of Western morality and the United Nations. And in like some indirect way, like sure, or sometimes more direct ways, but it is, I don't know, it could get grating. Because every once in a while you get to the end of a thing and you're like, yeah, that's really interesting. And then he's like, and that's why we invented all of culture. And you just have to go, well, anyway. Shifra and Puah are the first of 6 courageous women who will play a vital part in the story of Israel's redemption in the Parsha. The others are Yocheved and Miriam, Pharaoh's daughter, and Moshe's wife, Zipporah. Moshe may be the central character in the unfolding drama of Israel's redemption, but without these women, there would be no Moshe. Their moral courage is a vital element to the story. This is true. In fact, every female character is the goat of Exodus and a lot of the Bible, honestly. It is notable. Also, I read feminist literature and drink matcha. I can't do that. I can't. Not with any self-respect can I say that. It is notable that only two, Yocheved and Miriam, are clearly Israelite. Pharaoh's daughter and Zipporah are clearly not, and the identity of Shifra and Puah is uncertain. The entire Exodus narrative is a delicate counterpoint between the particularity of Israel, my son, my firstborn, and the universality of the moral law. We will see this several times in the following chapters. Not every nation is expected to be holy, but every nation is expected to be moral. Thus, we are presented with role models, such as these non-Israelite women who are principled and stand against tyranny and persecution, and it transcends the cultural and ethnic boundaries of the story. Beautiful, wonderful, we love it, gorgeous. Oh, here we go, this is where it wraps around. Granted them households. That, he suggests, was the case with Shifra and Puah, as in they were midwives because they could not... unironically, I like matcha. I don't read feminist literature though. Not like because I dislike it. I just haven't. But no, I think matcha's good. Like sweetened and unsweetened. But I'm an acquired tastes guy. I like bitter grass, like dirt shit. I like Moxie. I like Moxie Cola that like most of the United States thinks is vile and like kills you. So. Shows what I like. Shifra and Puah, because they saved children's lives, God rewarded them, measure for measure, with children of their own. In reward for the righteous women of that generation, our ancestors were redeemed from Egypt. Sota 11b. Who's Sota? I guess a commentarian. Shifra and Puah were two of those women, heroines of the spirit, giants in the story of humankind. That's interesting. So the commentary is effectively that by granted households, the meaning is that Moxie is good. Moxie's really good. At least personally, I think it's like a 3-act. You get like 3 acts out of drinking it. It starts out kind of sweet. You get like the cane sugar, and then it gets really rooty because it's made of Jensen root, so it gets like really earthy and kind of root beer, like bitter root beer flavor, but like the root part, like it's not very sweet, and then it ends off and it kind of softens out back to the sweetness. But it's like it puts you on a ride. It's just you can't go into it expecting to drink a soda. You have to be expecting to drink like a beverage, like one with an upper crust beverage. I don't know, snooty beverage that has a developed that has like a refined palate or whatever. You have to be expecting like cocktail complexity, where it's not just a sweet soda. So anyway, that commentary is very, very cool. It's very interesting, where it's not that God somehow just vaguely intervened. Like God didn't just vaguely intervene and give them households. That would explain. And I love this kind of thing because it's also it gives you an insight into the history, and that's what I like. It's about the midwives could not bear children, and the giving of households is actually the bearing of children, which is very cool. And it does make sort of a karmic sense. They save the children, and then God makes them fertile, and they're able to have children of their own. In a pre-modern society, big deal. That is labor. Those are people you can put to work. Children are an asset. This is what the grind looks like. This is what the grind set looks like. And chapter 2. A man of the house of Levi went and married a daughter of Levi. It is the house of Levi, so ideally that isn't incestuous. Though I guess it's like, how many generations is it between Yaakov and this? That might be incestuous. That might still count. And she became pregnant, and gave birth to a son. She saw what a fine child he was, and for 3 months she kept him hidden, because of course the Egyptians would kill him. And when she could no longer hide him, She took a papyrus basket and coated it with tar and pitch. She laid the child in it and placed it among the reeds by the bank of the Nile, and his sister stood by at a distance to see what would happen to him. Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the Nile, while her attendants walked by the riverbank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her maid to fetch it. When she opened it, because she has soft hands, she couldn't pick up a basket by herself. She's royalty. She saw the basket among the reeds, maid to fetch it. When she opened it, she saw him there, the child. The boy was crying, and she was moved to pity for him. This must be one of the Hebrew boys. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter. Sister just ran up to Pharaoh's daughter, bathing in the Nile. Shall I go and fetch one of the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you? Go, said Pharaoh's daughter. That does seem like a breach of security. If the internal public enemy, if one of them can just run up to you and say, "Well, can I get you somebody who will nurse him?" And Pharaoh's daughter says, "Yeah, sure." So the girl went away and called the child's mother. "Take this child," Pharaoh's daughter told her. "Nurse him for me, and I will pay you your wage." Very nice. Very good deal, actually, for Moses' mother. She gets to parent him and get paid. Moses' mother, actually, very early working woman. Because if this is Pharaoh's daughter paying Moses' mother, right, Hammond's. Yeah, I haven't read Handmaid's Tale either. I understand that it's been. I guess it's meant to have a wide application, but I understand it was supposed to be about Iran and the religious government, the Ayatollah's government taking over. But yeah, child, peasant, normal. But yeah, I understand it was supposed to be about the Ayatollah taking over, how Iran went from a democratic society to a theocratic one, and it was supposed to be like what this would look like in the United States, or something along those lines. Anyway, here's give myself more table space. Right. So Moses' mother is I think the first woman in the Torah to work a job for which she is paid, and she's a very early example of working a job for which she is paid, because it's for which she is paid a wage, we're told, because given this is Pharaoh's daughter and it's expressed as a wage. I'm inclined to think she's talking money. She's talking currency, like actual coin, which is very rare in a pre-modern society. It's a coveted thing, because coin is based more directly off of the metals within it. Its value is. And so those metals have to actually be extracted. There is no fiat system to the whole thing. It's a big old deal. So, and it's very uncommon for peasantry, for just common people to have money, because most of what they're doing is perhaps not bartering, but at least exchanging goods with money as kind of the quantifier. So in a literal sense, you're bartering. You're giving your grain for some soap, but you're saying, I will give you however many drachmas worth of grain for however many drachmas worth of soap, right? So yeah, it's a big deal that that woman is getting bank. It's a big deal that Moses' mom gets paid a wage, that she's getting paid in hard cash. She's rich. She's an elite probably of her community for that. So good for her. Right. Verse 10. The woman took the child and nursed him, and got paid big bank. The child grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moshe, because, she said, I drew him out of the water. One day, when Moshe had grown up, he went out to his people, and he saw their forced labor. and he noticed an Egyptian striking a Hebrew, one of his brothers. Looking this way and that, and seeing no one, he struck down the Egyptian and hid his body in the sand. The next day he went out and saw 2 Hebrews fighting. He asked the guilty one, "Why are you striking your own neighbor?" The man said, "Who made you a ruler and judge over us? Do you intend to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" Feminist win, sips matcha. True. Then Moshe. Oh. Again, very thin pages. It's easy to flip too far. Moshe was afraid. Surely, he thought, the thing has become known. Word reached Pharaoh, and he sought to kill Moshe. But Moshe fled his presence and went to live in the land of Midian. There he sat down beside a well. And the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, but we will get there in a moment. So this is an interesting point. Moses, this is actually very interesting. There is an Egyptian epic poem or just narrative. I forget if it's poetic. That documents an Egyptian who, because of a civil war, he leaves Egypt and goes into Canaan and becomes a lord. He becomes he becomes this elite landed gentry because he comes from the regional power that is Egypt, and he's going to these kingdoms who all want to be like Egypt and want to be as wealthy as Egypt. And so they set him up. They say, you are a leader in Egypt. You must be very qualified. We want you to help us build our country in the Egyptian way. So he settles there, and he becomes very wealthy. He finds a wife, and eventually he returns to Egypt and is welcomed back by Pharaoh so that he can die in Egypt, because it's culturally very important in ancient Egypt to die in Egypt ritually as you lived there or away. And there are, of course, lots of parallels between that story and this one, where Moses goes away and becomes and marries the daughter of the priest of Midian, so one of the local big men, the wealthy kind of community-defining people. And he has a very successful time there before eventually, not for death, but for the Exodus, he's called back to Egypt. So it's interesting to me, having read, because I've read that original, or a translation. I can't read ancient Egyptian, but a translation of that. But I'm struggling to remember the name. I might look like a poser. I don't think I have it physically here with me. Ugh. My stupid chud life. I just have my giant Chumash and my 500-year history of Mexico and my Florentine Codex. Alas. Anyway, Moses, he's a refugee. We'll get back to his adventures. The priest of Midian had 7 daughters. There they came to draw water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. Of course, the economies of Canaan and the Levant are defined at this point by pastoralism. Then the shepherds arrived. They're also semi-nomadic, which is why there's so much crisis over this well, or will be, because people compete over water rights and over well rights. Then the shepherds arrived and started to drive the young women away. But Moshe stood up to defend them, and then watered their flock. When the sisters returned to Royal, their father, he asked them, "How is it that you have come back so quickly today?" They said, "An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds. He even drew water for us and watered the flock." "Where is he?" he asked his daughters. "Why did you leave him there? Invite him in to have something to eat." Very. His sentiments will be echoed in the future with Chabad rabbis. "Oh, you encountered a Jew? Invite them here so I can feed them a ton of food, and it will either be absolutely gorgeous or it will be 50s housewife fare made of Jell-O and canned tomato." Anyway. Moshe accepted an invitation to stay with the man, and he gave Moshe his daughter Tzipporah in marriage. That happens very fast. she gave birth to a son, and Moshe named him Gershom, saying, "I've been a stranger in an alien land." Now, the Torah is actually not afraid to say when a marriage is bad and a rough time. As you'll hear in my upcoming video on David, David has a wife who, in his marriage, sours with her, and it's made very clear about that, because for a time she's his ex-wife, and when he takes her back because he becomes king, it says there is much crying and she has to leave her husband who she loves, and David is a bad guy for it. The Torah is not afraid to say this kind of thing. That's people getting married in bad situations is bad. Moses' marriage with Zipporah actually is really, really good. Goes very well. So presumably, right? I mean, it could be they got lucky and Moshe came back and Royal was like, "You're a fine fellow. I'm marrying off my daughter immediately." But because of how marriages were prosecuted in the ancient Levant with dowries and the like, it's likely that Moshe probably hung around for a time, helped with the flocks, etc., and accrued some little wealth of his own, so that when he speaks with Royal, so that Royal can eventually say, okay, he has some net worth, he can pay his dowry, or I guess maybe would he be paying the dowry? Anyway, he can provide for her and be relevant for her, and he'll still be in the household realistically. So then Royal says, all right, then he will be married. So it's likely lots of time has passed. Moses is growing up, he's becoming a big boy with his very own sheep and his very own maybe fancy Sunday dress garb made of Tyrian purple, or the similar, I think, sea snail blue that comes from what's now the Dead, or is it the Dead Sea? Some inland body of water that Israel borders, because you go to Israel to get a blue tassel for your talit without dye, because it has to be of that special dye. Anyway, she gave birth to a son, and Moshe named him Gershom, saying, "I have been a stranger in an alien land." Do they sing a very fun, beautiful song over his stay with them? In Prince of Egypt they did, hell yeah. Very good movie. Speaking of, time to rotate the slide. Time to do something new. What do we think? Actually, I have a marriage thing. I have a marriage one. I think. Yes, I do. Here we are. There we go. They're getting married. It's cute. They sing a beautiful song. We love the Midianites. Midianites are great. What? Oh, yes, we're getting to the bush. We're getting to the burning bush. I hope that's the bush you're referring to. We're getting to the burning bush. Years passed, and the king of Egypt died. The Israelites sighed in their enslavement and cried out, from their servitude their plea for help rose up to God. And God heard their groaning and remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Yitzhak, with Yaakov. God saw the Israelites and God knew. I'm sure there is a really interesting commentary on it saying God remembered. Here we go. 2:24. What Rabbi Sachs has to say. And God heard. In the Torah, the word Shema means more than hear. It means listen, pay attention, and act accordingly. This explains an unusual feature of biblical Hebrew, namely that it has no word that means obey. Judaism does not demand blind obedience. To the contrary, it asks us, as far as possible, to understand the reasons for the commandments, though their full wisdom still will always be beyond our understanding. Obedience in Judaism is a form of active listening. Pre-modern English used the word hearken to convey this, but there is now no word in common usage that has this precise sense. By God heard, our verse means he attended to the cries of the Israelites and set it in the context of the promise he had given the patriarchs that he would bring their children to safely out of slavery and back to the land of Israel. And his commentary on 225. And God knew. As we see throughout the Torah, the verb know in Hebrew means something quite different from its meaning in Greek and subsequent Western thought. Knowledge, for the Greeks, was a form of cognition, a detached appraisal of facts. In the Torah, I don't know how true that is, but because, Rabbi Sachs, very smart, not a classicist, but we'll bear with him. In the Torah, knowledge is not simply an intellectual attribute. It also has consequences for emotion and action. In this case, and God knew, means that he not only saw the suffering of the Israelites, he was pained by it and determined to act to redeem them. All right. Let's continue. One day, Moshe was tending to the flock of his father-in-law Yitro, priest of Midian. He led the flock to the far side. Wait a moment. Yitro, priest of Midian. I thought Royal was priest of Midian. What's happening here? Huh. Well, anyway. He led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. Then an angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from the midst of a bush, and he saw the bush was ablaze with fire, but was not consumed. Moshe said, I must turn aside to see this wonder. Why does the bush not burn up? Moshe said that out loud. He said, a bush. Moses was talking like the vertical dramas, like the TikTok stuff, or like the movies where it's like where it's like the doctrine in like Hollywood like slot movies now is to restate the plot all the time because people are on their phones. That's what Moses is doing. A bush? I simply must look away from the bush. Why isn't the bush burning up? Point. The Lord saw that he turned aside to look, and God called him from within the bush, Moshe, Moshe, and he says it twice. And in most commentaries, saying something twice is a big deal. So, yeah, I don't know. It's important. Wag my finger, tisk tisk. It's important. What for? I mean, well, it's the theophany, so yes, it's important, but I'm poking fun at a lot of commentary, especially halakhic commentary on the law, on the interpretation of like elements of kosher and whatnot. He answered, "Here I am." Then God said, "Do not come close." Surely, actually, the burning bush scene in Prince of Egypt is gorgeous, and I don't actually think I have a JPEG for it, so I'm gonna grab it. It is such a pretty scene, and as we'll see in my video on David 2025, they just like shamelessly steal the burning bush scene. Like there's a cave that's clearly the burning bush. OSHA? Why is OSHA coming to it? Is there not? Is it because there's no guardrails around the burning bush? I'm confused. But here, let me grab this. Did I say something about OSHA? In one of the verses. Oh, that's Moshe. Moshe is the Hebrew name for Moses. We have burningbush.jpg. We're so back. Well, no, I'm saying I said Moshe. Yeah. Oh, it's the chat delay. I see. Good. All right. And where was I? Then God said, "Do not come close. Remove the shoes from your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. I," he said, "am the God of your father, the God of Avraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of, Yaakov." God burped. That's canon. Then Moshe hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. The Lord continued, "I have seen my people suffering in Egypt. I have heard them cry out amid their oppressors. I know their anguish. So I have come to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and bring them up from that land to one that is good, spacious, a land flowing with milk and honey, the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Now the cry of the Israelites has reached me. I have seen the oppression the Egyptians subject them to. So go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." "But who am I," said Moshe to God, "to go to Pharaoh, to bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" Burningbush.jpg. You're good. Right. We get the Torah being famous for having no idea what the cultural geography of the Levant is, because it says the land of the Hittites, and the land of the Hittites were Bronze Age. First off, the Hittites are gone by now. They are not around, and they lived in what's now Turkey. And the land of Israel is not Turkey, nor does any other part of the Torah seem to indicate that it's Turkey. They did have like part of the Levant in the Bronze Age, but it's I don't know. Anyway. God replied to Moses, saying, "Well, who am I to do this? I will be with you, proof remembered through the ages. Go, gather the elders of Israel and tell them, the Lord God of your fathers appeared to me, the God of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, saying, I have taken note of you, and I have seen what is being inflicted upon you in Egypt. And I promise to bring you out of the misery of Egypt to the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites, the Amorites and the Perizzites, the Hivites and the Jebusites, to a land flowing with milk and honey. They will listen to you. Then you and the elders of Israel shall go to the king of Egypt and tell him, the Lord God of the Hebrews has revealed himself to us. Send us forth now for a 3-day journey into the wilderness to sacrifice to the Lord our God. But I know that even by a mighty hand the king of Egypt would not send you forth. So I will stretch out my hand and strike Egypt with all the wonders I will do there. After that he will send you forth, and I will grant this people favor in the eyes of the Egyptians, so that when you leave, you will not leave empty-handed. Every woman shall ask her neighbor, ask any woman lodging with her, for objects of silver and gold and clothing, and you shall put these on your sons and daughters, and despoil the Egyptians. Let me see. I'm sure there's commentary on despoiling the Egyptians, because I want to know more about that. Come on, despoil the Egyptians. Tell me about the despoiling. Ugh, it's not telling me. Ah, well. The rabbi has nothing to say on despoiling the Egyptians, though I am very curious. Okay. And yes, here we have. God replied to Moshe, I will be what I will be. one of the most important verses in the whole Torah. I will be what I will be. Let's see what Rabbi Sachs has to say about it, and I'll add whatever I think he's left out. God's enigmatic reply to Moshe, who was translated into Greek as ego eimi hoon, and into Latin as ego sum qui sum, meaning I am who I am, or I am he who is. The early and medieval Christian theologians all understood the phrase to be speaking about ontology, the metaphysical nature of God's existence. It meant that he was being itself, timeless, immutable, incorporeal, understood as the subsisting act of all existing. Augustine defines God as that which does not change and cannot change. Aquinas, continuing the same tradition, reads the Exodus formula as saying that God is true being, that is eternal, immutable, simple, self-sufficient, and the cause and principle of every creature. So actually very cool. No, I wanted to despoil, alas. Very cool on Sachs' part. He actually cites two Catholic theologians here. Sorry, you're getting my Discord notifications, good lord. But this is the God of the philosophers, not the God of the prophets. Eye asher eye means none of these things. It means I will be what, where, or how I will be. The essential element of the phrase is the dimension omitted by all the early Christian translations, namely the future tense. There is no way, God is telling Moshe, that he or anyone else can know in advance what God is about to do. He tells him in general terms that he is about to rescue the Israelites from the hands of the Egyptians. But as for specifics, Moshe and the people will know God not through his essence, but through his acts. The future tense is key here. They cannot know him until he acts. He will be a God of surprises. He will do things never seen before, create signs and wonders that will be spoken about for thousands of years. They will set in motion wave after wave of repercussions. People will learn that slavery is not an inevitable condition, that might is not right, that empires are not impregnable, and that a tiny people like the Israelites can do great things if they attach their destiny to heaven. Again, we get some of the melodrama of Rabbi Sachs here, but he's very eloquent, and he has good thoughts, good commentary. None of this could be predicted in advance. God is saying to Moshe and to the people, you will have to trust me. The destination to which I am calling you is just beyond the visible horizon. It is very hard to understand how revolutionary this was. Ancient religions were deeply conservative, designed to show that the existing social hierarchy was inevitable, part of the deep structure of reality, timeless and unchangeable. Just as there was a hierarchy in the heavens and another within the animal kingdom, so there was a hierarchy in human society. That was the order. Anything that challenged it represented chaos. Until Israel appeared on the scene, religion was a way of consecrating the status quo. That is what the story of Israel would overturn. Far from being timeless and immutable, God in the Torah is active, engaged, in constant dialogue with his people, urging, warning, challenging, forgiving. When Malachi says, in the name of God, I am the Lord, I have not changed, he is not speaking about his essence as pure being, the unmoved mover, but about his moral commitments. God keeps his promises even when his children break theirs. Time, however, becomes something understood as a narrative, a journey or a quest. Throughout the Torah, the promised land lies in the future. Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov do not acquire it. Even Moshe, who spends 40 years leading the people there, does not get to enter it. It is always just beyond, soon but not yet. All of this is hinted at in those three Hebrew words that mean I will be what I will be. I am the God of the future tense. And we continue. I took me back a couple pages because I noticed that commentary and the verse. And I simply had to speak about it. But we can move on. The music hasn't been playing this whole time. I'm actually the thickest idiot. There we go. Age of Empires 2 beats. Alright. But Moshe replied to the despoiling, they will not believe me. They will not listen to me. They will say, the Lord has not appeared to you. What is that in your hand? Asked the Lord. A staff, he replied. Throw it to the ground. He threw it, and it turned into a snake. And Moshe fled back from it. The Lord told Moshe, reach out your hand and take hold of its tail. He reached out his hand and grasped it, and in his hand it turned back into a staff. This is so that they will believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, appeared to you. The Lord spoke to him again. Put your hand inside your cloak. He put his hand inside his cloak. When he took it out, it was as white as snow. Okay. I won't. I agree to your terms. Right, white as snow. That's referring actually to disease. He puts his hand inside his cloak, and it comes out sickly with a terrible disease. It's not leprosy. It has historically been mistranslated as leprosy, but it is not leprosy. To have a staff. Yes, we're getting to the staff. Well, excuse me, we've already gotten to the staff. I'm stupid in the head. Oh, I'm sorry. I just agreed not to. Fine. I shan't self-deprecate. White as snow. Put it back inside your cloak, he said. Moshe put his hand inside his cloak, and when he took it out, the skin color had returned. If they do not believe you and are not persuaded by the first sign, they will believe the evidence of the second sign. Yes, Discord is back there. And if they do not believe either of these signs and will not listen to you, then take some water from the Nile and spill it on the ground. The water you take from the Nile will become blood on the ground. Then Moshe said to the Lord, Please, my Lord, I am not a man of words. I was not yesterday nor the day before, and still am not, since you spoke to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue. So firstly, we have several miracles that Moses performs set up in advance. God is giving him his toolkit to do some blood miracles, do some blood magic. But more generally, or not more generally, excuse me, more specifically, Moses has a speech impediment. Now this is kind of, oh boy, another ad. This is another kind of surface level, sort of like surface of the iceberg thing, that Moses has a speech impediment. That he cannot talk very well, and he nevertheless is chosen as God's agent to perform the Exodus. And it's this really, in my opinion, it's a really terrific, very beautiful choice in the narrative, or documentation of history, or what you please, that Moses is made to be disabled, or less abled. That he is just as capable of greatness and of performing these great and incredible acts of liberation, even though he has a speech impediment. And I think that's wonderful. Okay, lock in. Is it not I, the Lord? Now go. I will help you speak, and I will teach you... Oh, I skipped forward. Who gives man speech? Said the Lord to him. Who makes people dumb or deaf? Who gives them sight or blindness? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go. I will help you speak, and I will teach you what to say. But please, my Lord, he said, send someone else. Then the Lord's anger, and presumably literally the bush, blazed against Moshe. Have you not a brother, Aharon the Levite? He, I know, is able to speak. Even now he is setting out to meet you, and when he sees you, his heart will rejoice. You shall speak to him, and place words in his mouth. I will help you both to speak, and I will teach you what to do. He will speak on your behalf to the people. He will be your voice, and you will be his access to God. Take this staff in your hand. With it you shall perform the signs. So Moses is given an intermediary of Aaron. And while Aaron is doing some of the speaking for Moses, we are also told that God is helping both of them speak. So Moses is speaking for himself as much as Aaron is helping him. So Moses has not been entirely trivialized in this situation. Also, Moses has all the magic. Moses has all the staff snakes. which is those are a necessary part of this equation. Oh, I didn't hit the drop. I didn't hit the beat drop. There it is. Moshe left and returned to Yeter, his father-in-law. Is that? I swear. Oh my gosh. This is the third. This is the third. This is the third name that Moses' father-in-law has been given, and it gets even better because Yeter, his father-in-law, he said to him, "Let me go back to my brothers in Egypt to see if they are still alive." Yitro said to him, hear that? We get two names for Moses' father-in-law in the same in the same verse. It really cannot decide. Is he royal? Is he Yeter? Is he Yitro? Does Rabbi Sachs have anything to say about this? No. And Yitro said to him, "Go in peace." While Moshe was still in Midian, the Lord said to him, "Go, return to Egypt. All those who sought your life have died." So, Moshe took his wife and sons and put them on a donkey and set out to return to Egypt, taking in his hand the staff of God. The Lord said to Moshe, "When you return to Egypt, see that you perform for Pharaoh all the wonders I have placed in your power. But still I will strengthen his heart, and he will not send the people forth. Tell Pharaoh, this is what the Lord says. Israel is my son, my firstborn. I have told you, send forth my son so that he may serve me. If you refuse to let him go, I will kill your son, your firstborn." That's important. That's interesting. So we also have established now the hardening of Pharaoh's heart. There's a mistranslation on the King James Bible's part, saying that Pharaoh hardened his heart. The Lord hardens his heart. It is God doing that. That is what God is doing. And there are a few theories why. It's not totally clear. Hold on. Wait a minute. There's another interesting commentary about Moses' wife. Nah, it's not that much. Anyway, so there are a few theories why God hardens Pharaoh's heart. The one that I've heard the most is that from some older commentaries. Oh, they're laying down the beats here. They're laying down the beats here is a good one. Bum ba da ba da bum 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 bum. All right. Is that God saw that if Moses performed miracles before Pharaoh, Pharaoh would just be dumbstruck and terrified, and Pharaoh would no longer have agency because it would just be like raw terror, and Pharaoh would let them go because he's just like shitting bricks. So the commentary goes that God hardened Pharaoh's heart so that Pharaoh would have agency, so that Pharaoh would be making rational value decisions on whether he would let the people go. And hopefully Sachs says something on this. Whoa. I hope you're all ready for this. I am airing this. I'm not going to shy away. We shied away reading My Immortal. I'm not shying away from the Torah. You get the full bore, uncensored Torah right here. At a lodging place on the way, the Lord confronted Moshe and was about to kill him, but Zipporah took a flint knife and cut off her son's foreskin, throwing it down at his feet, and said, "You are a bridegroom of blood to me." So he let him go. Then, "A bridegroom of blood," she said, "because of circumcision." Huh? Huh? I'm totally unfamiliar with this. What? Where do I see this? Where do I see this? Yeah. There isn't a lot of commentary on that exactly in Sachs. I'll have to check out like the Rashi for that probably. Maybe we can get some of the Prager rabbis in here as well. But it's interesting. So at one point, God actually just almost kills Moshe. Full vor Torah. That's crazy. That's crazy. But God actually just almost kills Moshe. And here again, my own crazy little strain of Judaism, my own radical take. Somebody shows up to God. Moses' wife confronts God, tells him to shut his whole mouth, and God obeys. And God obeys because the Torah is awesome. The Torah is really cool in this way. The foreskins are circumcisions also involved, but this is really cool. This is really cool. I really like this. No, there's no vor. I was saying it's full bore Torah because I was not censoring the part where Moshe's wife circumcises Moshe's son. Specifically, she does it, if you were not here, because God is very angry with Moshe, and he's apparently about to kill Moshe, but Moshe's wife will not have that. And so she performs this ritual act in front of God and says, "You are a bridegroom of blood to me," which is effectively shaming God for being so angry with Moses in this moment. And God backs down. She gets God to back down. I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool. Well, I've pogged enough. I've pog-champed enough over this, and we can continue. The Lord said to Aharon, "Go and meet Moshe in the wilderness." And he went and met him at God's mountain and kissed him. And Moshe told Aharon all that the Lord had said about his mission, and all the miraculous signs he commanded him to perform. So Moshe and Aharon went and gathered all the elders of Israel. Aharon told them everything. I'm saying that like Turon. Girl bossed all over God. Damn right. I'm saying that like Turon. I shouldn't say that like Turon. I should say Turon though. Turon. Real ones will know. And the people believed, and they heard that the Lord was watching over the Israelites, and that he had seen their misery. They bowed their heads and prostrated themselves. After this, Moshe and Aaron came to Pharaoh. And they said, "Thus says the Lord, God of Israel, send my people forth, so that they may hold a festival for me in the wilderness." But Pharaoh said, "Who is this Lord, that I should obey him and send Israel forth? I do not know the Lord, and I will not send Israel forth. The God of the Hebrews has revealed himself to us." They said, "Let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to the Lord our God, or he may strike us with the plague or with the sword." The king of Egypt said to them, "Why, Moshe and Aharon, would you take the people from their work? Get back to your labor. Look," said Pharaoh, "how numerous the people of the land have become, and yet you would have them rest from their labors." Crazy takes. Yes, spam that. Spam girl bossed all over God.
Local tax experts are here. Now you can meet with a TurboTax expert in your community. They can do your taxes for you.
So Pharaoh's pulling like some Confederate States bullshit here, and saying that the work is good for the Israelites. Pharaoh can get fucked. You know, there are the theories, why God hardened Pharaoh's heart. At this point, probably just an excuse to punish him more. for being a fuck-ass slaver who should explode and die. So, yeah. Pharaoh is gonna get what's coming to him. And he's gonna get what's coming to him with Ultra Kill in the background. That day, Pharaoh gave orders to the people's taskmasters and foremen. Do not give the people straw for bricks as before. Let them go and gather their own straw, but require them to make the same quota of bricks as before. Do not reduce it. They are lazy. This is why they are crying out, send us forth to sacrifice to our God. Make the work harder for the people, and make sure they do it instead of listening to lies. Good Lord. Pharaoh's hard at it. So the taskmasters and foremen went out and told the people, and this is what Pharaoh says, I will no longer give you straw. You must go and get your own straw wherever you can find it. Your production must not fall short of what it was. So the people spread out all over Egypt to collect stubble for straw. The taskmasters kept pressuring them, saying, complete your daily work quota just as when there was straw. And the Israelite foremen... whom Pharaoh's slave drivers had appointed were flogged. Why have you not fulfilled your quota of bricks, they were asked, either yesterday or today, as you did before? The Israelite foreman came and protested to Pharaoh, why are you treating your servants like this? Your servants are given no straw, yet they tell us, make bricks. We are being flogged for your people's failing. But he said, lazy, that is what you are, lazy. That is why you keep saying, send us forth to sacrifice to the Lord. Now go, get to work. Straw will not be given you, and you must complete your count of bricks. When the Israelite foremen saw that they were not to reduce each day's quota, they knew that harm was coming to them. Leaving Pharaoh, they met Moshe and Aaron, who stood awaiting them. They said to them, may the Lord look on you and judge, because you have made us repellent in the eyes of the Pharaoh and his officials. You put a sword in their hands to kill us. Then Moshe returned to the Lord and said, why, Lord? Have you brought harm to this people? Is this why you sent me? Ever since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has dealt worse with this people. And you have done nothing to deliver your people. But the Lord said to Moshe, now you are about to see what I will do to Pharaoh. By a mighty hand he will send them forth, and by a mighty hand he will drive them from this land. No more matzo mukbang. Delicious, I know. And beautiful. Okay. I'm taking a break because we're at the next Parsha. Alright, here we are. The next Parsha, Parshat Vera. Actually, no, I need water. I'm sorry. I need water. I'm parched. I'm withered. Mummified ass. I will be right back.
lunch menu doesn't have bagels. Set your alarm.
This is the first time I purchased flight coverage, and I am so glad I did. My husband suffered a severe leg injury, and I had to cancel my trip.
Protect your peace of mind with Allianz Travel Insurance, built to withstand whatever comes your way.
I was stressed about how many hoops I'd have to jump through, but it took me less than 5 minutes to file my Allianz claim. And my refund was in my bank account within 3 days.
We've spent years perfecting the process that keeps filing simple when travel
I'm back.
gets complicated.
Oh, there's an advertisement playing.
Impressed and so
Get this goy shit off my screen.
I will
Immediately.
absolutely purchase.
Leave. Gone. Good. You know, then it would have been enough. Daenu. I think it would not have been enough if God gave us no water. That's pretty important. Coldest egg on the planet. Anyway, Grobossing all over God. Parshat Vera. Okay. Yeah, I wish I got paid for those ads. That'd be nice. That'd be nice if I was monetized. But here we go. Then God spoke to Moshe. I am the Lord, he said to him. As El Shaddai, I appeared to Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. But my name is the Lord. I did not make myself known to them. And I made a covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land where they lived as strangers. And now I have heard the groaning of the Israelites, whom the Egyptians are holding as slaves, and I remember my covenant. Therefore I say to the Israelites, I am the Lord, and I will free you from the forced labor of the Egyptians. I will rescue you from slavery. I will liberate you with an arm stretched forth and with great acts of judgment. I will take you as my people, and I will be your God. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God, freeing you from Egyptian forced labor, and I will bring you to the land that I promised to give to Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. To you I will give it as a possession. I am the Lord. Moshe told this to the Israelites. He signed off on his tweet. President Donald J. Trump, I am the Lord. Moshe told this to the Israelites, but in the brokenness of their spirit and the brutal labor, they did not listen to him. Understandably, honestly. Let me see if any of these commentaries are interesting. I like this one. I'll read this one. Chapter 6, verse 6. I will free you from the forced labor of the Egyptians. What is revolutionary in Judaism is not simply the concept of monotheism. That the universe is not a blind clash of conflicting powers, but the result of a single creative will. It is that God is involved in his creation. God is not simply the force that brought the universe into being, nor is he reached only in the private recesses of the soul. At a certain point, he intervenes in history to rescue his people from slavery and set them on the path to freedom. This is the revolution, at once political and intellectual. Judaism is the escape into history, the unique attempt to endow events with meaning and to see in the chronicles of mankind something more than a mere succession of happenings. See history as nothing less than a drama of redemption in which the fate of a nation reflects its loyalty or otherwise to a covenant with God. Rabbi Sachs melodrama, but he's right. One of the great innovations is God's involvement with his creation. Some 3,300 years ago, God tells Moshe that he will intervene in the arena of time, not only, though primarily, to rescue the Israelites, but also to have my name known throughout the land. The script of history will bear the mark of a hand, not human but divine, and it begins with these words, Therefore I say to the Israelites, I am the Lord, and I will free you from the forced labor of the Egyptians. Again, it's melodrama, but it's good. It's cool. We love to see it. Well, we love to see his commentary. In general. That particularly debatable. But verse 10, And the Lord said to Moshe, Go tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to send the Israelites forth from his land. But Moshe said to the Lord, The Israelites, you see, have not listened to me. How then will Pharaoh listen? I am a man of uncircumcised lips. Moses' lips have not been circumcised. I guess neither have mine. I'm not sure what that would mean. Can anybody tell me what that would mean? Or what I sort of shudder to imagine what a circumcision of lips would be like. Like a degloving, I assume. Which sounds very uncomfortable. But, well, anyway, the point Moses is getting at is that Moses has a speech defect. And, anyway, Moses has a speech defect, but he persists anyway, and God guides him anyway, and it's great, it's wonderful. We actually love and adore that this is a part of the story. The Lord spoke to Moshe and Aaron. He charged them with regard to the Israelites and Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, to bring the Israelites out of the land of Egypt. These were the heads of their ancestral houses. The sons of Reuven, Yisrael's firstborn, were Chanok, Baluch, Hetron, and Carmi. Almost there. Pages are being difficult again. These were the families of Reuven. Shimon's sons were Hemuel, Yamin, Ochad, Yakin, Zohar, and Shaul, son of a Canaanite woman. These were the families of Shimon. These were the names of Levi's sons by their lineage, Gershom, Kehat, and Merari. Levi lived 137 years. The sons of Gershon were Livni and Shimi by their families. The sons of Kehat were Amram, Yitra, Hebron, and Utziel. Kehat lived 133 years. The sons of Merari were Machli and Mushi. These are the families of the Levites by their lineage. I won't read the rest of this. We have enough. Holy shit, Jeff the Killer, you're so right. You're so right. Circumcised lips means Jeff the Killer. Anyway, I won't read the rest of the names. I'll flip through. These were the Aaron and Moshe to whom the Lord said, "Bring the Israelites out of Egypt by their battalions." It was they who spoke up to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring the Israelites out of Egypt. The same Moshe and Aaron. So it came to pass on the day the Lord spoke to Moshe in Egypt. The Lord said to Moshe, "I am the Lord. Tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I am telling you." But Moshe replied to the Lord, "You know that I have uncircumcised lips. I'm not Jeff the Killer. How then will Pharaoh listen to me?" Then the Lord said to Moshe, "I am making you now like a god to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron will be your prophet. All that I command you, you are to speak, and your brother Aaron to convey to Pharaoh, that he may send the Israelites forth from his land. But I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. Still Pharaoh will not listen to you. Then I will set my hand against Egypt, and with great acts of judgment bring my battalions, my people the Israelites, forth out of the land of Egypt. When I stretch out my hand against Egypt and bring the Israelites out from among them, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord." Moshe and Aaron did so. They did exactly as the Lord commanded them. Moshe was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. Moshe was not that old. Torah's of the opinion that Moshe is like 140 or something similar when he dies, which is a little silly and a little questionable. Moses is not that old at this point. Then the Lord said to Moshe and to Aaron, "When Pharaoh says to you, 'Perform a miracle,' tell Aaron, 'Take your staff and throw it down before Pharaoh, and it will become a serpent.'" So Moshe and Aaron went to Pharaoh and did just as the Lord had commanded. Aaron threw down his staff before Pharaoh and his officials, and it became a serpent. Pharaoh then summoned his sages and sorcerers, and the Egyptian magicians did the same thing by their sorcery. Each threw down his staff, and they became serpents. But Aaron's staff swallowed up theirs. Yes, X'd out that. Put the LA Noir on that. Hell yeah. Interesting.
$10 for a large. $10 for any 3 toppings.
So, the serpent, the Hebrew word for serpent used. Shut up, Pizza Hut.
Protect your dream home.
Lord, I need an ad blocker. Okay. So, interestingly, I'm skipping this one. Interestingly, finally, there is a different word for serpent used here. The one used at the burning bush is nachash. Here it uses the word tanin. This word appears in Genesis 1:21, meaning a sea monster. Here the reference is to a crocodile, the deadly animal of which there were many in the Nile. An ancient Egyptian story tells of a magician, Ubaner, who made a model of a crocodile out of wax, which then came alive and ate its intended victim. Sobek, one of the gods of the Nile, was often portrayed as a crocodile. The sign produced by Moshe and Aaron would then be meaningful to the Egyptians. Yechezkel calls Pharaoh a great crocodile. Thus the sign is intended to convey that Pharaoh is being confronted by a power greater than any he could summon. That's really cool. That's really cool. I like that. So, Aaron's staff swallows up theirs. Pharaoh, nonetheless, was obstinate, and he would not listen to them, just as the Lord had predicted. Then the Lord said to Moshe, Pharaoh's heart is unyielding. He refuses to send the people forth. So go to the Pharaoh in the morning as he goes out to the water. Place yourself by the bank of the Nile, where you will encounter him, taking in your hand the staff that turned into a snake. Say to him, the Lord God of the Hebrews has sent me to tell you, send my people forth so that they may serve me in the wilderness. So far you have not listened. This is what the Lord says. This will make it known to you that I am the Lord. With the staff in my hand, I will strike the water in the Nile, and it will become blood. The fish in the Nile will die, the Nile will stink, and the Egyptians will not be unable to drink its water. Then the Lord said to Moshe, oh, I won't get there yet. That's a civilizational crisis. Yulok Origin the Goat, indeed. I'll get that at some point here. Check. Egyptian. Oh, another reference to Egyptian tradition. Yes, please tell me, Rabbi Sachs. It will become blood. A text known as the Admonitions of Ipuwer contains the statement that the river is blood, one of the symptoms of its vivid description of the collapse of order and the reign of chaos. The Nile was the supreme source of life for ancient Egypt. Its water turning to blood transforms it into a symbol of death. Hence, this is not just a wonder, but a sign, a symbol. The river that turns to blood is a dramatic enactment of the fact that the Nile, source of life, had become a source of death when male Israelite children were thrown in to be drowned. That crime, intended to be hidden, is now proclaimed to all in the most graphic way. The cosmic order is being overturned. Pharaoh, seen as a sustainer of that order, is being challenged in his own terms and in his own domain. Pharaohs were known to be capable of rewriting their own history, obliterating the more shameful episodes and aggrandizing their achievements. The plagues are saying, in effect, that there are crimes that cannot be concealed. Nature itself bears witness to the guilt of those who commit crimes against humanity. Oh, it's an army ad. Blood over the waters of Egypt, their rivers, canals, ponds, and reservoirs, and they will turn into blood. There will be blood throughout Egypt, even inside vessels of wood and stone. Moshe and Aaron did just as the Lord commanded. Aaron raised his staff in full view of the Pharaoh and his officials and struck the water of the Nile, and all the Nile's water turned into blood. The Nile fish died, and the river stank, so that the Egyptians could not drink its water. Throughout the land of Egypt, blood appeared, but the Egyptian magicians did the same thing by their sorcery. So they had Kool-Aid on hand. So Pharaoh's heart remained adamant. They had Red 40. The Egyptian magicians invented Red 40. This is canon. So Pharaoh's heart remained adamant, and he would not listen to them, just as the Lord had predicted. Pharaoh turned and went back into his palace and did not take even this to heart. The Egyptians all dug along the Nile to get drinking water, unable to drink the waters of the Nile. And 7 days went by after the Lord's striking of the Nile. And then the Lord said to Moshe, "Go to Pharaoh and say to him, 'This is what the Lord says, send my people forth, let my people go, so that they may serve me, and if you should refuse to send them forth, I will scourge your land with frogs from end to end. The Nile will teem with frogs. They will come up into your palace, into your bedroom, and up onto your bed, into the houses of your officials. And, another banger. Oh, Rabbi Sachs is so peak right now. I will scourge your land with frogs. The reference is probably to the frog goddess Heket, Egyptian goddess of life, birth, and fertility, also associated with midwives. Oh. There may be a suggestion here of Pharaoh's first instructions to the midwives to kill the male Israelites. Yes. The frogs would not only have been a source of irritation, they would have been an extension of the guilt of the river turning into blood, the sign now moving inland and coming close to the people. Again, the Egyptian magicians, obsessed with demonstrating their own power, are portrayed ironically. Far from making the frogs go away, they deepen the curse and produce even more. We're getting there, though. Frogs will into the houses of all your people, into your ovens and your kneading pans. The frogs are going to crawl into your oven. I'm sure you'll be thrilled about that. The frogs shall climb up onto you and your people and all your officials. The Lord said to Moshe, "Speak to Aaron, stretch out your hand that holds your staff over the rivers, the canals, the pools, and cause frogs to climb up and out onto the land of Egypt." So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and frogs climbed up and covered the Egyptian land. But the Egyptian magicians used their sorcery and did the same, making frogs climb up over the land of Egypt. And there's them making it worse. They're proving, yes, I can do that as well, but they just bring more frogs. They're not getting rid of the frogs. They're just making more to say they can. Curious liberals. Not your kneading pans. Yes. No bread. Also, I made a promise to you, and I will make good on it. Claire de Lune. By Heaven Pierce Her. Or it's not actually called Claire de Lune, but it's Versus. Because it's in the level Claire de Lune. We're in the plagues. Let's go. Let me queue up some more Ultra Kill as well. All right. And Moses said to Pharaoh, "Gloat over me. You will name the time when I should pray that the frogs be removed for you and your officials and your people, from you and your homes remaining only in the Nile." "Tomorrow," he replied. Moshe said, "It will be as you say. Then you will know that there is none like the Lord our God. The frogs will depart from you, and from your homes, your officials, all your people. They will remain only in the Nile." So, I skipped a bit. Moses has gone to Pharaoh again, "Let my people go." Pharaoh says, "No, I'm not convinced." So Moses is saying, "Well, I'm going to show you the power by getting rid of the frogs." Moshe and Aaron departed Pharaoh's presence, and Moshe cried out to the Lord about the frogs he had brought upon Pharaoh. The Lord did as Moshe said. And, the Lord is obeying Moshe in this case. Again. The girl boss God. Girl boss all over God. You go, Moshe. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. Alright. The Lord did as Moshe said, and the frogs in the houses, courtyards, and fields died. They gathered them up into heaping piles, and the stench filled the whole land. But when Pharaoh saw that respite had come, he hardened his heart and would not listen, just as the Lord had predicted. Then the Lord said to Moshe, "Tell Aaron, extend your staff and strike the dust of the earth. All over Egypt it will be transformed into lice." They did so. Aaron extended the hand that held his staff and struck the dust of the earth, and suddenly there were lice on the people, on the animals. The dust of the earth was turned to lice all across Egypt. That's actually horrifying. That's awful. The magicians tried to produce lice with their sorcery, but they could not. Meanwhile, the lice still infested people and animals alike. Oh. Oh, ho, 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 ho. I'm gonna let the Ultra Kill play for a second there. Alright, let's see. Do the lice have a connection in Egyptian tradition? It's not said so. Well. This, the magicians told Pharaoh, is the finger of God. But Pharaoh's heart was toughened, and, as the Lord had predicted, he would not listen to them. Then the Lord said to Moshe, "Rise up early in the morning and confront Pharaoh as he goes out to the water. Tell him, this is what the Lord says. Send my people forth so that they may serve me. If you refuse to send them forth, I will send swarms of insects onto you, your officials, your people, and your houses. The Egyptians' houses will be filled with swarms of insects. The ground they stand upon will be covered by them. On that day I will set the land of Goshen, where my people live, apart. There will be no swarms, and then you will know that I am the Lord here on earth. Between my people and yours I will mark out a separation. Tomorrow this sign will come to be." And swarms of insects. Others read wild animals. However, the reading of the plague as insects accords better with the parallelism of the plague of lice and makes more sense. Shut up, advertisement. More sense in terms of the Torah's description of houses being filled with them. It does make sense. It does seem difficult for it. No, that's not what I want. Okay, we're good. Okay. Yeah. You do not want lice in many parts. You also don't want raccoons. You don't want wild animals in many parts. You want the... When I was a little boy, we had little masks of like giraffes and raccoons and other assortments of animals. And we would wear them and say, anyway. It was probably insects though. It's probably insects. Well, the Lord did so. Great swarms of insects infested Pharaoh's palace and the houses of his officials. All across Egypt, swarms of insects devastated the land. Pharaoh called for Moshe and Aaron. "Go," he said, "and sacrifice to your God here in the land." But Moshe replied, "That would not be right for us to do. Our sacrifice to the Lord our God is an abomination to the Egyptians. If before the Egyptians' eyes we offer the sacrifice they consider an abomination, will they not stone us to death? Send us forth 3 days' journey into the wilderness to sacrifice there to the Lord our God, as he will instruct us." Interesting. So Pharaoh actually concedes a little bit. He's saying, "Fine, do your ritual." But Moses says, No, we have to go 3 days' journey out. It wouldn't be okay if we did it here. We would get stoned. We would get attacked by the Egyptians. Because they're apparently very particular religiously. And Pharaoh says, "Well, okay, just don't go too far." Moshe's about to say, "Well, Let's see here. Oh, actually, there's some interesting commentary here that I like. "An abomination to the Egyptians. Shadal, on this verse, quotes the Greek historian Plutarch on how an Egyptian king fostered different religions among his diverse population to prevent them coming together, to unite against his rule, and possibly dethrone him. On one occasion, religious differences between two of these groups led to a war, which required the Roman army to suppress it. Moshe is therefore being realistic, as well as understanding Pharaoh's mindset when he suspects that, in Pharaoh's concession, he and his people are being invited into a trap. Interesting. So, apparently there's maybe, we can imagine, some grounding to Moses saying we will be stoned. And not in the weed way, though the ancient Hebrews did hotbox. We found archaeological evidence. They hotboxed the shit out of themselves. But probably not in this period. Though, maybe still in this period. Who's to say? Who's to say? Moshe and Aaron. Right, Pharaoh is no longer turning to his magicians. And he's trying to compromise. Yes, yes. Moshe said, I am going to leave you and pray to the Lord. Tomorrow, the swarms of insects will move on from Pharaoh, his officials, and his people. But let Pharaoh no more deceive us, refusing to send the people forth to make their sacrifice to the Lord. Moshe left Pharaoh and prayed to the Lord, and the Lord did what Moshe asked. He diverted the swarms of insects from Pharaoh, his officials, his people. Not one was left behind. But this time, too, Pharaoh hardened his heart and did not send the people forth. Then the Lord said to Moshe, Go to Pharaoh, tell him. Interesting, so Pharaoh hardens his own heart this time. This is Pharaoh's own choice. Go to Pharaoh, tell him, this is what the Lord God of the Hebrews says. Send my people forth to serve me. If you refuse to send them forth, if you continue to hold them back, the Lord's hand will turn against your livestock in the field. A deadly epidemic will strike horses, donkeys, and camels, cattle, and flocks. But the Lord will set Israel's livestock apart from Egypt's. None belonging to the Israelites will die. The Lord has set his appointed time. Tomorrow the Lord will bring this about in the land. And the next day the Lord brought it to be. All the livestock of the Egyptians perished, but of the Israelites' livestock not one creature died. Pharaoh investigated the matter and discovered that not one among Israel's livestock had died, but still Pharaoh's heart remained hard, and he would not send the people forth. Pharaoh fact-checked God. He was like, surely at least one died. And it didn't happen. And I will be right back, because I need to use the restroom. am again. I've got just about 10 minutes left. Not from time limit restrictions, but just other intervening events. So I'll get it as much as I can. Then the Lord said to Moshe, yes, the livestock. And the Lord said to Moshe and Aaron, take a handful of soot from a furnace and throw it up in the air before Pharaoh's eyes. It will become a cloud of dust over all the land of Egypt, and on people and animals it will become a rash, breaking out into boils on people and animals throughout the land of Egypt. So they took soot from the furnace and stood before Pharaoh. Moshe threw it up into the air, and it became a rash that broke into boils on people and animals. The magicians could not stand before Moshe because of their boils, for the boils had affected them as they had the rest of the Egyptians. But the Lord strengthened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not listen to them, just as the Lord had told Moshe. Interesting. So the Lord has strengthened Pharaoh's heart again. And let's see, any interesting... Oh, actually, this is the first time. So this is the first time that God is described as hardening or strengthening Pharaoh's heart. Significantly, it happens in the 6th plague. During the first 5, Pharaoh's refusal to let the Israelites go was his own choice. Rashi understands God's hardening of Pharaoh's heart in the last 5 plagues as a form of punishment for the first 5. Rambam interprets it as meaning repentance was withheld from him, and the liberty to turn from his wickedness was not accorded to him. Rabbi Yosef Albo and Sforno suggest the opposite. God hardens Pharaoh's heart precisely to restore his free will. After the succession of plagues that had devastated the land, Pharaoh is under overwhelming pressure to let the Israelites go. Were he to do so, it would not be out of free choice, but rather under force majeure. God therefore strengthens Pharaoh's heart so that even after the first 5 plagues, he's genuinely free to say yes or no. Simplest and most profound are the words of the Talmudic sages about Yetzer Hara, the evil impulse. Ar-Asi has said, at first the evil impulse is as thin as a spider's gossamer, but in the end it is as thick as a cart rope. Rava said, at first the evil impulse is called a wayfarer, then a guest, then finally a master. Evil traps the evildoer in its mesh. Slowly but surely he or she loses freedom and becomes not evil's master, but its slave. Meanwhile, the plagues are deepening. Animal disease has affected the cattle. Boils have had such an impact that Pharaoh's own court magicians are unable to stand. Shortly, his court will beg him to let the Israelites go. Pharaoh is becoming more and more isolated, as often happens to absolute rulers when they lose the support of those around them. Their acts appear to the outside as ever more irrational, and they are indeed self-destructive. But Pharaoh is now a prisoner within the cage he has made for himself. Having steadfastly refused in the name of Ma'at order to grant the Israelites their freedom to leave, he cannot back down now without making himself a laughingstock. Hence the irony and pathos of these last plagues. Pharaoh, having turned free men into slaves, is now himself a slave of the system he has created. And the Lord said to Moshe, rise up early in the morning, back to the verses, and confront Pharaoh. Tell him, this is what the Lord God of the Hebrews says, send my people forth to serve me, or this time I will set the full force of my plagues upon you, your officials, and your people, so that you will know that there is none like me in all the world. By now I could have stretched out my hand and struck you and your people with an epidemic that would have wiped you off the face of the earth, but I have let you survive for this purpose, to show you my power, and to have my name known throughout the land. You are still abusing your power over my people, refusing to let them go. And so this time tomorrow I will bring a hailstorm on Egypt, heavier than any it has suffered, from the day Egypt was established until now. Give an order now to bring in your livestock and all else you have in the field. Anyone or any animal in the open, any not brought under shelter, will die when the hail beats down. Those of Pharaoh's officials who feared the Lord's word hurried to bring in their slaves and livestock, and those who set no stock in the Lord's word kept their slaves and livestock where they were in the fields. And that was probably very few, because the Lord is not hardening their hearts. And, yeah, we're good. We'll move on. So it's interesting that also that the rabbi mentions Ma'at, because I don't think that's mentioned in here. But it's cool. It's really cool. Ma'at is an actual concept in ancient Egypt. Societal order. We'll be done soon. When is the end of this parshat? Oh, it's soon. We're gonna hammer through it. The Lord said to Moshe, reach your hand out to the sky, that hail may fall on all the land of Egypt, or on the people and the animals and everything growing in Egypt's fields. Moshe raised his staff towards the sky. The Lord sent thunderclaps and hail. Fire struck the ground, and the Lord rained down hail on the land of Egypt. The hail, with fire blazing inside it, battered so hard that there had been nothing like it anywhere in Egypt since it first became a nation. The hail struck everything in the open field throughout all of Egypt, people, animals, and everything growing in the fields, and it smashed asunder every tree. Only in Goshen, where the Israelites lived, no hail fell. Then Pharaoh sent for Moshe and Aaron and said to them, this time I have sinned. The Lord is in the right, and I and my people are guilty. Pray to the Lord. Enough of God's thunder and hail. I will send you forth. You need not wait any longer. Again, Pharaoh starts to concede. I'm a fool. I need to rotate my image. Well, there are 3 minutes left. I won't do that. I will hammer through. Moshe said to him, as I leave the city, I will spread out my hands to the Lord. The thunder will stop, and there will be no more hail. You will then know that the world belongs to the Lord. But I know that you and your officials still do not hold the Lord God in awe. By then the flax and barley had been destroyed, because the barley was ripe and the flax was in bud. But the wheat and emmer had not been destroyed, because they ripened later. Moshe left Pharaoh and the city, and spread out his hands to the Lord. The thunder and hail stopped. The rain did not pound the earth anymore, but when Pharaoh saw that the rain, hail, and thunder had stopped, he once again turned to sinfulness. He hardened his heart, his officials likewise. Pharaoh's heart was strengthened, and he refused to send the Israelites forth, just as the Lord had predicted at Moshe's hand. And there we are. Almost done. That leaves us at Parshat Bo, which we will not be moving on to, because I do have to finish up right there. Unfortunately, I guess not a ton of people came through. All the technical difficulties last stream probably have sauced me. That's not what that means. Have probably sabotaged my algorithm performance. But, well, we will persist, we will survive. And this next video, I'm sure, will do well. And with that, I think we will be wrapping it up for now. If you would like to hear any commentaries from the Chumash on what we've just read, or if you'd like me to keep this on going forward and make it through all of Exodus, we could do that. I know I'm thinking starting like in May, I'm thinking of mixing up the Jewman show formula, because that's when my reservation of the studio ends, where I usually do it. And so that's around May is when my reservation ends. I'll have to check their website. But at that point, I'm just going to be streaming just from here in my own abode. So I can mix things up. I've got more flexibility. I'm not hauling my laptop over to stream. I can actually have it plugged into my whole console. So you could do all kinds of things. We could do gaming streams, things like that. But we could also mix up the Jewman show and do some linear readings with more commentary, do some audience response sorts of things. I don't know. It could be interesting. It could be cool. But that's all for now. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. And have a wonderful, wonderful night. A wonderful Passover season, though it is just about done now. And that'll be all.